Hello and welcome back. I'm Robert Simmons, and you are listening to Discover U Radio's discussions. Joining me to unravel today's topic is the brilliant Rita Fox.
It is so good to be here. I am really ready to get into this one.
You know, usually when we sit down for these deep dives, we're looking at historical data, maybe a complex scientific paper. But today, I am vibrating with a different kind of excitement.
We're doing something a little unusual.
We are. We're looking at a piece of narrative work by an artist named Frankie M.
And specifically, we're analyzing a text. It's both audio and lyrics called They Call It Security. And I have to say, right off the bat, calling this a song just feels like a massive understatement.
Oh, completely.
I've been living with this source material for a few days, and it reads less like a song and more like, I don't know, a noir screenplay that's been boiled down to its absolute essence.
I 100% agree. It is cinematic. It's gritty. It has this texture to it that you can almost feel. If I were a critic handing out ratings just for atmospheric storytelling, this is getting a 5-star review from me. No question.
And that 5-star quality, it really comes from the density of the imagery. I mean, Frankie M isn't just telling us a story. He's building an entire world in very, very few lines.
So that's our mission today. We're going to unpack that world.
Right. We're going to deconstruct the setting, analyze the protagonist, look at the central mystery with this character, Jimmy Bowe, and then we have to talk about this haunting metaphor of the pale moonlight.
Okay, so let's jump right in, because the first thing that hits you isn't a person, it's the place.
Yes. The text opens with this very deliberate setting. Down by the Hudson on the Jersey side stands a mega warehouse where secrets hide.
That gives you so much context immediately. You're not in the shiny part of Manhattan.
No. You're on the industrial fringe, the Jersey side. It sort of implies you're looking at the city, maybe seeing the lights, but you are not a part of it. You're on the periphery.
And this isn't some modern automated fulfillment center, is it?
Oh, far from it. The sensory details are just so tactile and, well, unpleasant. The text mentions peeling paint and says the air is cold and damp.
And then there's this lighting cue that I just love.
The flickering lamp.
Just another night beneath a flickering lamp. I mean, that detail does so much heavy lifting here, doesn't it?
It really does. It's not just mood. It tells you that nobody cares enough to fix it. It signals neglect, abandonment.
Exactly. It's dying and no one's paying attention.
Which is why later in the text, it's described as a forgotten land and a dead-end street. I mean, think about the psychology of working in a place like that. If the land is forgotten,
then the people in it probably feel forgotten too.
Right.
It creates this kind of suspension of normal rules. If you're on a dead-end street in a forgotten land, help is not coming.
You're on your own.
There's a line that really stood out to me here. The riverside warehouse of shadow and rust.
Shadow and rust. I mean, that's such a potent combination. Rust is, it's slow decay. It's what happens when things aren't cared for. And shadows, that's where things hide.
So before we even meet a person, the environment itself is hostile. It's an antagonist.
Absolutely. Cold, damp, rusting, and hiding things.
So against this backdrop, we get our protagonist. Who is telling us this story?
Well, this is where it gets fascinating. The narrator introduces himself with a term that it just strips away any dignity. He calls himself hired muscle.
That is a loaded term.
Mm-hmm.
Security officer implies a career, maybe a uniform. Hired muscle is just your tool, your meat.
Exactly. And listen to how he phrases it. He says, they hired some muscle, put a gun in my hand to guard the shadows.
Put a gun in my hand. That's so passive, isn't it? It's not, I chose to carry a gun.
No, it's like he has no agency. He's just an instrument for the owners, like a gate or a lock, except he breathes.
And his job description is not checking badges.
No, not at all. He says the job involves muggings and bodies. He calls it a hell of a beat.
Muggings and bodies. I mean, wow. We went from peeling paint to dead bodies in about 4 lines.
Things escalate quickly. This isn't about guarding inventory. It's about surviving a war zone. He explicitly calls the job a dangerous game of Russian roulette.
Which is pure chance. It's not about skill or being smart. It's just spinning the cylinder and hoping.
And that fatalism just creates this incredible tension. He says, every shadow is a suspect, every sound is a threat. That is the mindset of a soldier, not a night watchman.
It's so intense. And just when you think it's just a general vibe of danger, he hits us with a specific incident, a name. This is the part that really hooked me.
We're talking about the Jimmy Bowe incident.
Yeah. Let's talk about Jimmy Bowe. The narrator mentions a specific spot, the old cart shack.
A place he says you learn to dread. Why do you learn to dread a cart shack? Because that's where they found Jimmy Bowe stone cold dead.
That rhyme, dread, dead. It just lands like a hammer. But here's the twist, and this is where the writing is just so smart.
The description of Jimmy Bowe.
Exactly. The text says his killing days were through.
That line does so much work. His killing days. That tells you Jimmy Bowe wasn't some innocent victim. He was a predator himself, maybe a hitman, a violent criminal.
So a predator who became the prey.
Precisely. In this forgotten land, even the killers get killed. It completely subverts the idea that being tough is enough to keep you safe. Jimmy Bowe was a killer, and he ended up dead in a cart shack.
And the narrator isn't really mourning him. He says Jimmy is lying there silent for me and for you.
It's almost a grim sense of relief, right? Or at least an acknowledgement of the cycle of violence. He lived by the gun, died by the gun.
And the narrator, who also has a gun in his hand, is probably looking at Jimmy Bowe and seeing a version of his own future.
That's the Russian roulette coming back around. Today the bullet found Jimmy. Tomorrow, who knows?
Which brings us perfectly to the core metaphor of the whole piece. The title is, they call it security. But the narrator, he keeps correcting that.
He does. This is the chorus, the refrain that anchors the whole narrative. They call it security, a watch in the night, but it's just a long dance with the pale moonlight.
A long dance with the pale moonlight.
That's so poetic. It's beautiful, but also terrifying. It's deeply ironic. Security implies safety, control. But a dance with the pale moonlight sounds like madness. It implies wandering aimlessly in the dark.
It's not a dance you're leading.
No, you're reacting. You move. The shadows move. Your partner is the moonlight, this cold, indifferent spotlight on a crime scene.
And what happens during this dance? He says he's finding ghosts in the quiet, sins in the dust.
Sins in the dust. That ties right back to the rust and the decay. The physical dirt is mixed with the moral dirt of the place. The security isn't security at all. It's an illusion.
So the title, they call it security, is basically sarcasm.
It is. They call it that. The people in charge. But he knows the truth. He's not securing anything. He's just witnessing the aftermath.
And speaking of they, near the end, we get a little glimpse of who's running this show.
Yes, the owners. The people signing the checks.
And the text says, the owners decided it was worth the price to roll the dice in this fool's paradise.
Fool's paradise. What a brutal line.
It is, because the narrator is playing Russian roulette with his life. The owners are rolling the dice with money. They've decided the risk is worth the price.
But it's not their price to pay, is it? They aren't the ones finding Jimmy Bowe.
Not at all. There's this massive disconnect. To the owners, the warehouse is an asset on a spreadsheet. To the narrator, it's a fool's paradise of rust and death.
Which really underlines that hired muscle idea. He's just a pawn in their game of dice. He's expendable.
And yet, despite knowing all of this,
Yeah.
what does he do at the end of the day? Or the end of the night?
So I checked my weapon, and I walked the line, waiting for the morning sun to finally shine.
He continues. The persistence of the weary. He knows it's all a game, but he checks his weapon and he walks the line.
It's a cycle. The moon, the sun, the moon, again. The dance never really ends. He's just waiting for the music to stop, but it never does.
So when we step back from this, what we're really looking at is a story about the complete illusion of safety.
Absolutely. It deconstructs the word security. We think of security as systems of protection, but here, the guard is just a man with a gun waiting to see if he survives the night.
There's no corporate gloss on it. It's just raw.
It is. And it reminds you that places hold memories. That warehouse isn't just a building, it's a container for sins and secrets.
And the narrator is the one who has to live with them. He's tough enough to hold the gun, but he's also sensitive enough to see the ghosts.
A lesser storyteller would have just made him a tough guy, but Frankie M made him a philosopher of the shadows.
A philosopher of the shadows. I love that. You know, going back to the beginning, I said this deserves a 5-star review. And after unpacking all this, I am absolutely doubling down on that.
I completely agree. It is so efficient, so evocative. It does in a few verses what some novels can't do in 300 pages.
It really does. It leaves you with that lingering sense of dread and that haunting image of the pale moonlight. It's not romantic. It's cold, indifferent. It's the spotlight on a tragedy.
Right. And you'll never look at one of those old industrial buildings the same way again.
Exactly. And that is the power of great storytelling. It changes how you see the world. We drive past these forgotten lands, but people like the narrator actually live in them.
And I think that's why it sticks with you. It's not just a spooky story. It's social commentary on the cost of that fool's paradise.
The cost paid by the people walking the line. Well, this has been an absolute pleasure. It's really nice to just sit with a powerful narrative sometime.
For me as well, a rare treat.
So before we go, I want to leave you with a thought. The narrator is waiting for the morning sun to finally shine. It's a symbol of hope, of survival. But in a place defined by shadow and rust, in a place where the very dust holds sins, I have to ask, does the sun ever truly wash away the ghosts? Or do they just wait in the corners for the moonlight to return?
That is the question.
Thank you for listening to Discover You Radio's Discussions. I'm Robert Simmons.
And I'm Rita Fox.
Keep listening to the whispers. We'll see you in the next deep dive.